And this is what many consider to be a massive strike on India's democracy, with Jack Dorsey, the founder and former CEO of Twitter, who's lecturing India on democracy. The same man under whose regime Twitter was accused of weaponizing fake news and flouting laws of the land, as far as India is concerned, is today espousing the ideal of democracy. He's defended the fakery and propaganda dispensed by Twitter during farmers' protest and alleged that Twitter was raided and threatened to be shut down by the Indian government. Centre was swift and scathing in its fact check. But first, listen to what Jack Dorsey said.
Jack, one of the things, you're in a unique position. You believe in free speech. That's something I've never doubted about you. You also are in the unique position of having run one of these companies. Can you give us some anecdotes, as you alluded to, foreign governments and the pressures that you were under, if able, just to give the audience an idea of what it is really like to be in a position to have some of the most powerful people literally on earth coming to you and saying, demanding things of your company? And as someone with principles, how did you navigate that?
India, for example. India is a country that had many requests of us around the farmers' protest, around particular journalists that were critical of the government, and it manifested in ways such as we will shut Twitter down in India, which is a very large market for us. We will raid the homes of your employees, which they did. We will shut down your offices if you don't follow suit. And this is India, a democratic country.
देखिए, जो कहा गया है वो झूठ और सफेद झूठ है। वर्षों की नींद के बाद जागे जैक डॉर्से अपने काले कारनामों पर पर्दा डालना चाहते हैं। जब ट्विटर को खरीदा भी गया दूसरे व्यक्ति के द्वारा, तब ट्विटर फाइल्स में खुलासा हुआ कि किस तरह से इस प्लेटफॉर्म का दुरुपयोग किया जाता था, पक्षपात किया जाता था और छेड़खानी की जाती थी। और ये मैं नहीं कहता, ये ट्विटर फाइल्स में आया है। और उनका प्रयास दुनिया के सबसे बड़े लोकतंत्र, मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी में कुछ ना कुछ विघ्न पैदा करना होता है। और ये चेहरे एक बार नहीं, कई बार पहले भी बेनकाब हुए।
This is a fiction that he has put out there for whatever reasons that he's put out there. But the facts are that the government of India has consistently maintained that any platform, whether they are foreign or Indian, whether they are big or small, must comply with Indian laws if they are to operate in India and offer services and products to the Indian citizens. And the most important thing that I would like to share is that certainly that people are now aware of what Twitter was doing during those 2 years. It has come out in the public domain through the Twitter files, that Twitter was misusing its power as a platform to selectively de-amplify and selectively de-platform people both in India and abroad. In India, it was a direct violation of Article 14 and Article 19. So I am deeply disappointed by Jack Dorsey's attempt at lying about what happened.
And the opposition has lashed out of the centre, calling it an anarchy under a dictator.
ये 50% सच्चाई, ये तो उन्होंने मान लिया कि टेक डाउन करने के लिए कहा गया था, पर 50% तो साबित हो गया, कहा गया था। अब क्या कहा गया था, जिससे कहा गया था मिस्टर डोर्सी से, वो बता रहे हैं कि हमें ये कहा जाता था कि किसान आंदोलन में इनके बयान मत दिखाओ, ये वक्तव्य मत दिखाओ, वो क्या कह रहे हैं ये मत दिखाओ। तो हो गया ना 50% प्लस 50%। तो ये सच्चाई है कि किसान आंदोलन को कुचलने के लिए पूरा सहारा लिया गया था धमकी का, डर का।
All right, let's take this across to our guest. Joining us with us is Deshratan Nigam, who's a lawyer. Also with us is Manasvi Thapar, political analyst. Let me start with you first. Deshratan Nigam, allegation coming in from opposition party, while the government may have fact-checked Jack Dorsey, opposition saying that this proves our charges that this was indeed a dictatorial regime that wanted to crack down upon the farmers' protest. That was the claim of Jack Dorsey. And that's being echoed by the Congress party and other opposition parties. Your response to that?
Madhav, in fact, who would know Twitter and Jack Dorsey better than me, because I am one of the persons who filed cases against Twitter, and I'm still contesting against Twitter in Supreme Court. And the fact remains that we filed a case in the High Court because of their anti-India activities, where the advertisements were being made against India. Khalistani handles were being promoted and advertised, and they were making money out of it. And when we filed a case in the High Court, then thereafter we made a representation to the Union of India. And therefore, once that happens, then the Twitter starts getting very nervous. And they started taking actions. And even today, criminal prosecution is going on in several states against Twitter. They spread fake news about genocide during farmers' protest. And also, de-amplifying and deplatforming certain handles which were pro-India, not pro-government. Please remember that. That's the difference. And they were shadow banning various this thing. They were not following various laws in India. They did not even have a nodal officer or grievance officer in India. So there was no redressal mechanism. So violation after violation. Arbitrarily, they could, jam anybody's handle, block anybody's handle. So this was not democracy. In fact, Article 1419 clearly says you've got even-handedly, treat all kinds of opinions on equal footing.
Okay.
And let me also, Jack Dorsey is on record saying that he's a leftist, and most of his employees, 90% employees are leftist. He is on record, and and that interview is available in social media. So he's a dangerous man. I openly say he's a dangerous man. He has escaped criminal prosecution in India. I believe government of India was soft. They didn't ban Twitter. They didn't. Anybody's in jail. In fact, government of India gave him a very long handle.
Right. Let me put that question across to Manasvi Thapar as well. Manasvi Thapar, here is a platform that is deplatforming individuals. In fact, there is the kind of messaging that is happening, whether it was being scaled up or down. There are also several versions of that. And therefore, how in the world is Mr. Jack Dorsey the person who's the most entitled to talk about democracy? Is a question that the BJP is asking. They were in violation of law, and therefore, whatever action was taken legally was taken at that point of time. This is what the government is saying. They're saying that Mr. Dorsey is misleading individuals, and also at the same time, several of the claims that have been made by Manasvi Thapar are not factually true.
Good evening, Madhav. So the real question what comes to my mind is there is a person who's known as Jack, and he is an ex-CEO of Twitter, and he's making allegations against my country. But my country in the past also, and today also, in the present times also, have gone very soft on this individual and also on Twitter. Let me remind you for the fact that Twitter needs India. India does not need Twitter. The day Indians stop using Twitter, the Twitter is going to go down. The reality here is, what are we doing as a government? My question comes directly to the government is, why are we so soft? Why are we just giving love letter to Jack Dorsey? And where does his strength comes to defame my country at a national, international stage? And we are discussing about him. It is only discussion. What is the legal recourse against Jack Dorsey actually happening in this country? Why aren't we going hard against this individual? Why are we so soft against this individual? If for a matter of a minute, the day we ban Twitter, it's going to be a harsh step. But we can't let this particular individual continuously defame my country and we go only soft. The maximum what we see is a Twitter fight against Jack Dorsey happening. Being a left is his personal choice. But the reality is he cannot and he should not speak against my country. And my country has given him a green platform to speak anything by being soft on him. If whatever Chandrasekhar ji is saying is true, why don't we have a criminal defamation case filed against this individual? This is a pointed question, a limited pointed question. Why don't we have actual prosecution?
Certainly, a lot of questions that arise of this from both sides have been asking questions, but we are unfortunately completely out of time. Manasvi Thapar and Deshratan Nigam would have loved to have had a much longer debate on the subject, but for the moment we're constrained on time. Thank you so much for joining us.